use it, to be honest with you. We just kind of thought it was so hard, but it was really hard. It's such a guttural language. Ik friedul sul bimnendurin, and things like that. But the funniest response was Ken Stotts, who just kept saying, "It's not a real language. There's no point in learning it, it's not a real language. It's made up, you know that, don't you?"
So here's a question on that, because when you're all speaking in the common tongue in the films, the dwarf families, you're talking about your family units, have different regional accents, usually different British accents of some variety or other. When you had to say something in Dwarvish, did you try to retain, like, you know, the Oin and Gloin had this kind of Scottish thing going on with, did they try to retain that in the Dwarvish? And, apparently. So Graham tells me otherwise, but apparently it was Scottish.
No, not really. It all sort of had to sound, the vowel sounds had to sort of sound very similar, so we didn't really keep the regional accent. How about all of that lovely Elvish that you were saying last night? Could you say some of that for the audience?
Ja, die fjerde med de her. Dwarf. That's a particularly northern dialect of the Swede elves. Live high up north, wintry lands.
The high elves.
They love the smorgasbord.
Did you find it hard doing the black speech?
You know what, the thing is, the film was made, the whole thing was shot with a guy that I went to school with, ended up being 7 foot tall. I actually went to high school with him in Newcastle, Australia, and he ended up coming over to shoot Spartacus, which I was on. He played a character called, yeah, thank you. He played a Germanic character called Sedulus, who got his face cut off. You remember that guy? Right. Yeah.
Yes, we know.
But anyway, when he came to Auckland to be in Spartacus, I invited him to my house because we both went to school together. And he came over and he said, "Oh, guess what? I've got some great news. I just got cast as Azog in The Hobbit, and I'd auditioned for it." And I was like, good on you, mate. Actually, I was really excited for him. I was happy for him, you know. And he went off and he shot the film. Now, the thing is in the you know, if you remember Lord of the Rings, the orcs were all made with the masks and stuff like that. You know, Lawrence McCoy had to play like, you know, the king of the orcs or the top orc in the Lord of the Rings. And whenever you came to an orc's face, just because of the nature of masks and makeup like that, the orcs didn't really have that much animation. They'd just be like, "Arr, arr, arr." You know. So somehow, in all of that culmination of stuff, they got to the end of the film, and Peter Jackson wasn't happy with the way that the Azog had ended up visually. So 3 months out from the premiere, Peter Jackson decided that he was going to eliminate that from the screen and replace it with a motion capture Azog. And they called me in, like, in a panic. I was still shooting Spartacus. I was in the second last episode, and they asked if I'd come down there to shoot it. Now, contractually, I wouldn't have been allowed to do it. And I didn't tell anybody. I snuck off down there. My producer almost killed me. The next week, when they found out that I was down there and read it in the newspaper, might have been shown up on the set of The Hobbit. Now, when I got down there, I had no idea. I mean, I got the phone call. It's like, you know, Mona, they want you to fly down in 2 days to shoot Azog. And I went, yeah, but my mate from school was playing it. And they went, no, they're going to shoot it all again, but as motion capture. So I had no idea about where this was going. And I got down there, and basically they wrote out all the black speech on cue cards. And as I was in this little green suit walking around, I'd sort of, you know, like, who remembers the opening scene of the first movie? Yeah, and I was kind of like standing with my back, and then I turned around and I walked down these stairs, and as I walked down the stairs, this is where I threw the wag in again. I said, "Peter, can my wife be over here?" Just can I pat it? Can I pat it? And then I started writing it. Then I was writing it. That was great. Anyway, so but when I came down, there'd be this black speech written on these cue cards where I was looking, and I'd move them around so wherever I was standing. So I was trying to play this character, and I was like, don't worry if you don't get it right, because they film the motion capture first. Whatever I do with the character's physical, it's all just dots. It goes on a computer, and then they paint R's of it, literally over the top of my skeletal frame or whatever. And then later on, I go into an ADR studio, or an ADR session in a recording studio, and I do the voice separately about 2 months later when they'd rendered the figure. So then I'd go in and I'd have all the black speech written down, and I'd have headphones on, and they would lower my voice by a full octave. So what's right down there, right? And then they'd put a leopard growl through it. So I'd be like, oh, it's really, really deep, special feel to it. And so my process was completely different to you guys. So I never met anybody from the cast until
we've only just met.
Yeah,
seriously.
I know. I was really starstruck because I really loved this guy's version. You know, you were such a great dwarf. Yeah, but my black speech for me, I didn't even know it. I just kind of had to read it off these cue cards.
Did you actually have a leopard in the studio with you during ADR? On another mic going...
No, but it was cool doing it because you put the headphones on, and then I'd suddenly hear the sound that they were going to make his voice. I'd hear it through the headphones, and I'd be like, oh, it's not even my voice. So it was kind of like playing an instrument, because then I'd sort of like, I'd be talking into the mic in a way that would make that sound work. You know what I mean? Yeah, it was kind of cool.
When we played the orcs in Lord of the Rings, and this is a little known fact, originally they were supposed to speak with a Russian accent. Why can't we have some meat? What about them? Are they fresh? Just didn't sound right.
I just still love the fact that in Little Hobbiton there's a wee Scottish elf. So everyone else is like, oh, Mr. Frodo, climb on my back. No, right out. And then there's, hey, I'm a wee Scottish elf. Don't know where I got my accent from. I'm Scottish.
Is that Scottish? Was it?
Why did you do that?
I forgot the touchiness of the elves. I totally forgot the touchiness of the elves. I'll do penance later. Yeah, let's move on.
Can we move on? Sorry, yeah. We still have the memories.
Hi, I was just wondering, since it's Monday, it's the end of Dragon Con and everything, do you have any favorite moments from this year's Dragon Con?
This moment right now.
And I have the memories of that moment just before. That is my favorite
God.
You can do it to yourself.
Everybody do it to the person next to you.
Yeah, somewhere in this session, try and do it. I love the lovely thing about sitting down and meeting people, which is lovely itself. But you get the best view of this parade that wanders past, and there's a whole world of anime that I have no clue about, and there's a whole sort of stuff that... So people walk past and say, oh, I know that, oh, Battlestar Galactica, like that, and oh, that's so sad. And then occasionally something will walk past. And you go, that is just brilliant. I have no idea what it is, but it's amazing. And they're just... I love how everything, Dragon Con particularly, some weird thing happens in the brain where it just normalizes. So I was then outside the back and going, oh, a banana walked past. Very drunk banana. Ew. I don't think he knew he was a banana. Or maybe he really believed he was a banana.
I think it was a banana daiquiri.
There was a giant angry bird as well, which was just... And it was the middle of the sweaty afternoon in the sky, this giant angry bird that was... I could go on, but I won't.
Someone thought that Adam had come as someone. We were going up the escalator.
The escalator, and someone went, what? I know this.